The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on redefining security, convenience, and safety for your institution. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Ann Cosgrove, the editor-in-chief of Facility Executive Magazine, and this webinar is presented by HID Global. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping items with you. Please note the control panel on your screen. This is where you can submit questions via the question box in that panel. We'll have a Q&A at the end with our speakers, but please send in your questions at any time and they will be addressed after the presentation. Also, please note the orange arrow on the left side of your control panel. Clicking on that will either expand or collapse the panel, so please be sure it is expanded. Also, if at any time you experience a technical difficulty, you can send a message to us in that question section and someone on our team will answer you privately. If you're interested in continuing education credits, please note you'll receive a certificate of attendance in an email from Facility Executive after this webinar, and you can report that to your association for the CEU. Now I'd like to introduce your speakers today, Tim Nyblom and Christine Twinica, both with HID Global. Tim is End User Business Manager of Higher Education, and he has over 14 years of experience in the higher education vertical market space. He's a regular attendee and presenter at NACCU and other higher education conferences, and he utilizes collaboration with end user clients, partners, and team members to develop, adopt, and implement identification and security solutions to the higher education vertical market. Christine currently serves as the Customer Experience Manager, Secure Issuance at HID Global, and her area of emphasis is with the Secure Issuance Business Unit, where she helps succeed the company's Fargo portfolio, along with the HID Fargo Connect solution. Christine joined HID Global after graduating from Bethel University in 2018 with a bachelor's degree in business. And during her time there, she was the director of the marketing program and she interned at DJO Global. She also earned All-American accolades on the women's golf team. So without further ado, we'll hear from our presenters today. We look forward to that. And of course, please share your questions. We look forward to a nice Q&A at the end. First, we'll hear from Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. And to all the attendees, really appreciate you taking the time today to visit with us. And I hope you and your families, your communities are doing well, given the virus situation we're all facing these days. And you know, there's a lot on people's minds, and we've been having these conversations a lot as it relates to access control, convenience and security, even before COVID happened. And now with COVID, it's presenting some new opportunities and new challenges. So really today we wanted to focus on real-time trends, returning to campus or returning to work. And as stated earlier, I've spent the last 14 years focused specifically on the higher education vertical. So a lot of the things that I may say or direct it towards higher education can be applied across a number of different verticals that we focus on or that you may part of or may be part of in your areas, but also focusing on security technology. So taking advantage of the opportunities, you know, what type of solutions are out there to help modernize your workplace, and then really getting into the best practices, addressing those challenges in this changing environment. How do you do that? How do you get buy-in? And then we'll have a Q&A at the end to hopefully answer any questions. So when we talk about real-time trends, you know, the next few slides are going to focus on a recent survey in the higher education space from NACU 2019 survey. And for anyone that's not familiar with NACU, that is the National Association of Campus Card Users, a very popular conference as it relates to the higher education community. And then a survey between HID and Genetec as access control in general. It was a survey of over 1,800 higher education security and IT professionals to really understand what the campuses are look like and how do they move forward. So when we look at vulnerabilities in the university space, we look at access control in general. The biggest focus is typically on the credential. What are people using? And as you can see by this this chart here, Magstripe is still predominantly used. Next is Prox. There's iClass in there, and then you get into some of the higher security technologies, MyFair, Desfire, COS, which we're gonna touch on in a second. A lot of these, when you focus on Magstripe, Prox, a lot of these are old vulnerable technologies that have been compromised. They dominate the access control space, definitely on a higher education campus, and we see it in a lot of different other vertical markets where readers have been on the walls for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and there's been little to no movement to upgrade those issues. For anyone that's not familiar, you can easily clone a Magstripe or a Prox card and, present a credential, a clone credential, and walk into a building as that person. So lots of vulnerability issues, and in the higher education space, it's driving a lot of change on upgrading that infrastructure, and driving that change presents a lot of different challenges. So what is the experience like today? There are many different campus users. We know there's students, faculties, visitors, contractors. They may have access needs for their particular set of buildings, business role, whatever the case may be. And then every access point has its own functionality potentially, and there's really no size fits all. I'm sure this is familiar to folks, but when you talk about campuses or even other business areas, there's all different types of things that are taking place: dining, library services, different buildings, administration buildings, to faculty buildings, to student housing, hospitals, many different doors that people want to lock down and secure. When we get into one of the survey questions, the question was around age of infrastructure. So how old are the following components of your access control? The survey shows that almost 34% of readers and 31% of controllers and 24% of the software is more than 6 years old. Older technologies, which I mentioned earlier, such as Barcode, Magstripe, and Prox, really continue to dominate the physical access control landscape. And these numbers are very high as schools try to figure out, well, we want to use a secure technology, we want to use a mobile solution for our campus. This is a big question, and a big focal point is the age of infrastructure and how to upgrade this infrastructure to support the modernization. The experience of different systems on campus. A student interacts with a variety of touch points in a typical day. Similar to another slide, they may use a Magstripe in a lot of places. They may use a Prox card. They may need to use it at a library. They may need to use it at a room and door, get to the gym, lab, hospital, cafe, et cetera, et cetera. So the user experience can be frustrating when everything isn't, brought down to whether it's one credential in a form of a card, a key fob, or or a mobile credential. There can be different readers all over the place on campus. It can be different access control systems, which then may provide the need for multiple cards on campus. So we've seen a lot of challenges with just how universities are structured. I usually refer to it as very siloed. They attend their own conferences, they put up their own solutions that best fits their needs without thinking of the long-term vision of the university as a whole. And then another big status quo, there's really no path to mobile. Mobile's been gaining steam. 95% of students already own smartphones. Mobile credential has risen 400% between the last 4 years, and then 40% of institutions rank mobile access as crucial to innovation. And this was a recent survey by Genetec and HID. We know students are demanding, and they are the big push behind the mobile adoption, and administration and faculty and staff at universities are starting to take notice. So when we talk about reimagining the campus experience, the work experience, imagine, I say this in jest, but imagine a world where you can use your phone for everything, right? Communication, buy something, transfer money, banking, et cetera, et cetera. Why can't we use our phone to walk into buildings? Why can't we use our phone to pay for things? And this is in direct reference to higher education campuses. Why can't we use our phone here? Why can't we use it everywhere? Why do I need my card? So reimagining that campus experience, that work experience, and figuring out how to get there and what are the best practices before we look how to get there. We really have to focus on the current state of the infrastructure on your campus or your workplace to figure out what's possible. So today's challenges: campuses need flexible access control systems, more so now than ever with COVID. So safe and health and safety. How do we get campuses, workplaces restarted safely? We're doing everything we can. We want to be able to attract students. Are we offering compelling ways for students to interact with services? Are we selling our campus on its student experience? And then managing the card office. Are we implementing solutions that will be relevant not only today, but in the future? Will those solutions that we implement decrease costs? Are they going to increase them? Or no, and are we building infrastructure to adapt to the future needs? What is coming down the line in the next couple of years? What are people preparing for? So this is a lot of what's on top of mind right now. I say this is probably true for campuses, definitely, and then many other workplaces across the country. So when we take a minute as we look forward, so we talk about the legacy infrastructure, and I'm hitting a lot of this stuff on a high level. We now say take advantage of an opportunity, and every campus is unique. This will mean many things to many different folks, but there are security technology opportunities to take advantage of, and we're going to hit a couple on the cards and mobile as campuses look to upgrade infrastructure on what the latest and greatest card and mobile technology is and how to get there. The evolution of card technology, Magstripe really started this off in the 1970s. For anyone that is familiar with procs, it really came out in the 1990s. So if anybody's using procs technology, this is 25-plus-year-old plus technology, and there's no security, there's no encryption. I mentioned it earlier in the presentation that this card can be cloned as long as a Magstripe. Some people say procs is even easier to clone than a Magstripe because you physically don't have to take possession of the card to clone a procs card. You can buy devices off the internet for $30 on Amazon, and if an institution or workplace is using procs, you can clone that card pretty easily. In the 2000s, this is the introduction of high frequency smart cards. All of a sudden, now we have some security and some encryption in the cards. They have expanded memory for data storage inside the card on the memory chip. In 2010, this was upgraded to include the concept around SIO. This is where you'll typically see the MyFair DesFire, and you'll hear EV1, EV2, and now even EV3 has been released that pairs along with CIOS. And today, a lot of the times you'll see CIOS compared to MyFair DesFire in a card and credential world. CIOS is next generation credential technology. It's a microprocessor based and is chip agnostic. So when I talk to universities on a daily basis, a lot of times where they're trying to upgrade infrastructure to support the latest and greatest card technology, they are either looking at CIOS or MyFair DesFire for that technology. These are the two in a little bit more detail. So CS was first developed in 2012, has card memory options of 8 and 16, uses AES 128 encryption. MyFair Desfire is developed by NXP. First release, I should say, this is MyFair Desfire EV2, was first released in 2016. Uses a lot of this great encryption as well, and card memories 2, 4, and 8. And we believe both technologies here at HID offer benefits to our end users, and we sell and support both platforms. When you look at them a little bit more closely, both offer means of encrypting designated areas on the card with unique keys. There's ways to ensure integrity of the message, allowing the card and reader to validate their authenticity to each other and establish a seed for session. Each technology based on standards, and they're very well done cards, very high secure, have not been compromised. And usually when we see, again, for campuses upgrading infrastructure from whether it's Magstripe Prox, MyFair, or even iClass, typically the decision is made between or around CS and Desfire for a card and credential technology. Then that brings us to HID mobile access. Again, I mentioned it earlier, mobile is extremely demanding these days from students. It's a big question that I get a lot, HID gets a lot. So what is mobile access? It's really a solution comprised of the components below that enables virtual credentials on mobile to devices to really work like cards. So these 4 platforms, it's the HID Arrigo mobile identity, the cloud-based service, there's mobile identities themselves, there's the actual app that someone would download, and then the readers that make this all work. When we talk about mobile identity, typically you'll hear references to Bluetooth or NFC as a way of the communication protocols. The HID mobile identity platform can work on both Android and Apple devices. Typically, you'll see BLE and NFC referenced a lot. BLE has the advantage of being allowing a lot longer distant range than NFC. Apple has recently, in the student ID and Apple, excuse me, let me back that up. In the higher education world, Apple has recently allowed use of NFC technology to put a credential in the Apple Wallet. I'm going to touch on that in the next space. And then with Android, you can focus your mobile credential solution using BLE or NFC on those devices. The credential technology I mentioned, BLE, you can use twist and go. BLE can be touchless. You can set the range. We've seen a lot of use cases where Bluetooth makes sense, where you're looking for a little bit longer read range, say parking deck, for example. You don't have to present your card or your phone to a reader. You can do it at a distance. Maybe there's an ADA compliant door. That would make sense where you need a little bit more space. And then true NFC, uses card emulation, so similar to what you see, with your cards, is how the phone credential would work with NFC. This is the student ID and Apple Wallet overview. So for any campuses that are on the phone and have interest in the Apple Wallet program, right now it's tied strictly to the higher education vertical market. But basically, students, faculty, and staff at participating universities can store their credential in Apple Wallet. It uses the near field communication technology. It leverages the same secure element as the payment and transit cards used in Apple Pay. It works in power reserve mode, works with Find My iPhone, and for the higher education vertical, and then where the students are demanding these features or the use of mobile credentials, we're starting to see a lot of interest in it. It's gaining traction. It was gaining traction even before COVID happened, and as schools prepare to get back to campus, whether it's this year, next year, in the next couple of years, there's a big focal point on mobile credentials, because you can basically remote provision them over the air, and you don't have to have a lot of folks come to a card office, help support any social distancing, or stop large mass gatherings to help accommodate any health risks or concerns. So what do we use to upgrade our reader infrastructure to support some of these latest card and mobile credential technology? So again, whether you're looking at MyFair DesFire, or you're looking at CIOS, or you're looking at mobile credentials using Bluetooth or NFC. Earlier this year, HID had one of our largest launches ever, where we have a new reader line called Signo. These are the 4 readers that were released, 2 of them with a keypad there. So they're ideal. We have the Signo 20 and the 20K. So they're ideal for mounting on narrow door frames, and then the Signo 40 and the 40K are perfect for those classic US style single gang boxes that many of you all have seen before. New form factors here with the keypad, and a little bit more detail about these Signo readers, why we think they're future ready. They've been enhanced. They have unmatched versatility. So when you think about this reader going on the wall, the vision is it's a future-proof reader to support not only what you may be using now for credential technology, but using now and in the future. If you want to get the mobile today, you want to get the mobile in 2 to 3 years, this reader is going to support that migration strategy. It has native support for both Bluetooth and NFC built right into the reader. For the student ID and Apple Wallet route, it has what's called ECP, which is enhanced contactless polling, to support that process. So if and when a university is ready to explore that student ID and Apple Wallet program, the reader will be there to accommodate that. Easy to install, and has some new automatic surface detection. And then when you look at the unparalleled credential support, we think this is extremely powerful because it gives a lot of flexibility for schools or institutions that might have to do a migration project over time. It can support all the legacy technology that someone may be using today, and I mentioned it, and then supporting the latest and greatest. So it has some improved read range performance across certain credential types. I failed to mention this on the previous slide, but the reader also supports OSDP. It has velocity checking. It has an intelligent power mode for energy saving feature, and outdoor rating. So it's powerful performance here. And then some of the other new and improved features, it has faster HID mobile access. It has an integrated iBeacon, which basically allows to poll for iPhones in reader's vicinity to help speed up the interaction between the phone and the reader. Enhanced tap mode, faster, more reliable, and a consistent tap. And I mentioned the ECP, which is the enhanced contactless polling for the student ID and Apple Wallet. The last concept here is around connectivity, and what we mean here is that these readers are really designed with the future in mind. The feature-based hardware will remain relevant for well over a decade. Plus, we're having new capabilities to unlock these new features, providing a lot of choice to our customers, having it mobile ready, being able to simply upgrade the readers in the field, and having strong, easy migration paths to get there. And, as campuses and workplaces look to upgrade infrastructure, we want them to be comfortable and understand that the reader that they put on the wall is going to protect their investment and provide upgrade paths to get them to the latest and greatest card or mobile technology for their campus or workplace. All other readers outside of physical access control, it's important for me to touch on is when you think of a campus ecosystem, all those different use cases I mentioned earlier, library, point of sale, gym, athletic facility, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you use a phone at all these other different use cases outside of a standard wall reader? So this is the focal point of that. These support mobile credentials via Bluetooth or NFC as well. They can support CIOS and DesFire alongside legacy technologies. They also include the ECP for the enhanced contactless polling if you want to go the student ID and Apple route. And then we have integrated by hundreds of non-PAC solution providers. So this little black reader that you see is what we refer to as an OmniKey device. You'll typically see these at a lot of point of sale or vending or copy print stations where you can plug in a USB. And then some of the other readers below here on the bottom right are more focused on the embedded solution, where our embedded team will work with partners to put these readers into, let's just say, turnstile, vending machines, a elevator shaft where you want to use card or mobile technology, and those readers are actually embedded into those devices. And here I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna pass it over to Christine, and she's gonna walk us through, what they're doing on the card issuance side and, the Fargo Connect solution. So Christine, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome, thanks Tim, and thanks everyone for joining the webinar today. I know Tim, you had a lot of great things to share about what you guys are doing on the physical access control side, and we also do have some exciting things for the secure issuance portfolio. So we're going to talk a little bit about HID Fargo Connect and safely transitioning back to the workplace. Here we go. All right, so what exactly is HID Fargo Connect? So HID Fargo Connect is going to be our cloud-based card issuance platform. So it really is going to bring all the elements of card printing into one integrated system. So really, we've listened to our partners, we've listened to a lot of our end users, and we know how the ID issuance can be a big pain point for a lot of enterprise customers, small, large businesses, higher education customers. And so we really wanted to improve the efficiencies of how you are currently printing cards. And we did want to make it more streamlined so that you could have a more efficient way, faster way, kind of more integrated way into actually printing your cards. So kind of just a brief overview of what makes up the HID Fargo Connect solution. It is going to be software, hardware, and consumables. So software, it is going to be more on a yearly subscription base. So it's going to be the amount of cards that you guys print per year. So it, depending if it's a small organization, large organization, there's different tiers, and it is based on, how many cards you're going to be printing each year, and that's sold on a, subscription based. There is the hardware, so you're probably used to those ID card printers. So what we have here is they do need to be HID Fargo Connect enabled printers. And then also you can kind of see that little device on the right side of that printer, and that's a console. And the console is actually going to be needed for each location that you are wanting to print badges at. So you would have a printer and console at each location that you would print badges at. And then of course the consumables, so that's going to be kind of purchased at a need basis. So what specifically are you able to do with Fargo Connect? So we do have an HID Fargo Connect portal. I'll probably say HFC a little bit throughout this presentation. That's just HID Fargo Connect, but there is an HFC portal, And that is where you're going to be able to design card templates. And it is a web-based card designer, which is a huge kind of upgrade from maybe what you can currently be doing, where you have your local software downloaded onto one PC. You're not able to share those license keys. You have to purchase site licenses for each computer and each workstation that you want to print badges at. With HID Fargo Connect, all you need is a web-based browser, and you can log in and your credentials there. So that is a huge plus to HID Fargo Connect. That's where you design your card templates. You can gain full printer visibility and control through the dashboard. So that is also going to be on that web-based portal that we have. And that is where you're going to be able to see the health and status of the printers. You can see what printers are online or offline. You're able to see what print jobs have been submitted. You're also able to see error codes. So if a print job did not get submitted successfully, you are able to see, what happened to this print job, why didn't it print? It actually shows the reason for that. If the operator canceled the job, if there was something wrong with a specific printer. So that's a huge portion to the dashboard. You're also able to safely and securely send remote print jobs. So, for example, we have a lot of customers that are not just single locations, they're global or across the country. And so you are able to safely and securely send print jobs remotely now. So each, you do need the printer as well as the console, but that is something that we are able to do now over the cloud. And then it is very secure. So we do use end-to-end banking level certificates. It's called IdenTrust. So they're actually banking level certificates. So you can have a peace of mind that all of these print jobs are encrypted. They are securely sent. So here is just a little bit of the architecture and overview of what Fargo Connect looks like and all the elements that make up that. So kind of the cloud in the middle represents the hub of HID Fargo Connect, and then each of those kind of expanding from that is what makes that up. So we have the production portal, and that is again going to be the card designer, printer management. You'll be able to see some support information in there and also the consumable status. There is an integrated technology partner application. So with HID Fargo Connect, we are more of the back end solution. So we do work out of integrated technology partners. Some that you may have heard of is like Seaboard, HID Safe. We also have some with Atrium or Secure. So there are a lot of technology partners that we work out of. And as HID Fargo Connect is the back end, the operator is still going to be working out of a system that they're comfortable using. And then we have the HID Fargo Connect console. 3 printers can be connected to that console. So you are able to have a little bit of a printer farm, if you will. And really the console is what will make those printers smart. So every print job would be submitted to the console, and then the operator can select what printer they want to send that to and what that looks like. And then again, you can design card templates and manage them from anywhere. So just a little closer look at the console. So it is kind of like an Android tablet. And again, this does have to be at each location that you are wanting to print at. So you are able to view the printer status. You can see what jobs are loaded in the print queue through this console. There are user-friendly video tutorials that showcase a little bit more of what you can do with HID Fargo Connect and all those capabilities. It is a plug-and-play setup, which is really nice. So there's not a ton of wires, which is helpful. And then also it is secure print user authentication. So you can kind of see at the top, right here is a reader. So you actually can use an access control card, and you can put that up to the reader, and that will unlock the console for that operator. They do have the ability to manually release those jobs or have those automatically released, but each print job is going to be submitted to this console, and then the operator can click print, and then it'll print that job. So then here is just a little bit more in depth of the Fargo Connect solution. So it is secure remote issuance. So you are able to safely and securely send print jobs to remote locations. So for example, our office is in Minneapolis and we want to send a print job to Tim in South Carolina. And so what we can do is within the dashboard and within the platform that your operator is currently working out of, they can select which location they want to send that print job to. And it will send that job to that console to be released and printed. So this really helps with, you don't have to have printers locked up in rooms. They don't just automatically print once you click that print button from whatever system you're currently using. And it also is a huge cost savings because you don't have to ship cards to each location that you have employees working at. We have a lot of customers that will have in their larger locations, they'll have printers and consoles, and they'll be able to, send jobs to those different locations, and it really does help on that savings. So it's more of like the main hubs that they would have those at. And this is just a little bit more in depth on that. So it does require operator to authenticate the console and actually print those. So they can log in via the username or password, or they can, put their card up to that reader to unlock those print jobs. Here is something that we've drastically improved. So you can issue cards from any device. So you don't have to now be stuck and tied to that one PC that you're printing your employee ID badges, student cards out. You can, manage from any device anywhere. So that would include a mobile phone, a tablet, any computer. Again, all you need is a web-based platform in order to log into that. And there's no software and drivers to install, which is huge. Again, just needing that one web-based platform that you can log into. So inline personalization, this helps automate the enrollment through the technology partner. So as Tim mentioned, a lot of those different technology cards, we are able to read the card serial number, the CSN from that card, and automate it so that it goes into that technology partner application that you're working out of. So instead of manually having the operator hand key in the card serial number, we can automatically enroll that process. So it really helps to just streamline the efficiency, and there's not a lot of time waiting at the print queue. It's very simplified and really speeds up that process to be more automated. Centralized visibility. So we do have that real-time dashboard, which is going to show consumable status, health of the printers. It's going to show what jobs have been submitted. So really it helps, instead of having someone walk over the printer and see, oh, it's a ribbon jam again, you'll be able to actually see that in that dashboard, and you'll be able to see that, oh, something's wrong with the printer, there's a printer jam. Or with the consumable status, which is really helpful, is you're going to actually be able to see how much ribbon or film you have left within that printer, instead of guessing, oh, we should probably order some more consumables, or oh, we ran out, we have to call our partner or vendor that we use to order more. You're actually going to be able to see the consumable status within the dashboard as well as the console. And some future upgrades, we are going to have text notification or email notifications that say, you're running low on your supplies, please contact your vendor to reach out to. So that is a really exciting feature that we have, instead of just being blindsided to what's going on with printers, print jobs, all of that. You are going to be able to see that through that dashboard that we have. And then the unified user interface. So we did want to make this easier for your operators and anyone that's working within to print badges. We wanted to make this as simplistic as possible. So really, where you're managing your records and employee IDs is where you're going to be able to issue cards from. So instead of toggling between multiple applications, going back and forth between HR systems and your access control system and your card design software, it is going to be out of that system that you are currently used to working in. And then kind of just another view of the architecture. So again, the blue hub in the middle represents HID Fargo Connect. This is just a visual pictorial of what this looks like. So you are going to have the card designer, the one card access control system. So that is where you're going to be printing your badges from and still managing your records. You're going to have local and remote printing. So you can print locally. We have a lot of colleges and universities that do this, or again, remote printing. So you can have different locations that have consoles and printers that you can print to. Again, issuing from any device anywhere, really helpful not to be tied to that one PC, especially if something happens, your PC crashes, you can just pull up a web browser on a different machine and log in to still issue badges. Printer management, you're going to be able to see the health of that, consumable status, really easy to check those levels. And then support. Support is huge. So you're going to be able to see that status of what's going on with that printer, what's going on with the print job. You even can have your vendor or partner actually remote in to see what's going on. So it's going to reduce support calls. It's going to reduce those service calls or anything having to send the printers back. We can actually see that visibility to what's going on to help. And then last but not least, we have here is systems today versus the new shift to HID Fargo Connect. So here's a comparison chart. We have PC and software management. So again, you are tied to that PC. You have licenses that are only valid for that one PC that you're working out of. Now you don't have any PCs, no software or drivers to manage. So a lot easier on that end. Shipping expenses are going to be reduced as you can securely send remote print jobs now. Locally maintained printers, now there's central visibility. So you're able to see everything involved in the print process. There's no more guessing on what's going on. Issue from PCs, again, you can issue from any device, mobile phone, tablet, any PC, any place that has a web browser. Hours spent waiting on print queues. Now there's distributed inline personalizations. You can read that serial number card serial number, and then it would automatically be updated in your system versus your operator manually entering in those keys. And then bouncing between applications, you're not going to be having to do that because you'll be working out of a system that you're currently used to. So those are the biggest things with HID Fargo Connect. We do have a couple demos that we can definitely run through with you guys at a different date. And we can also, we do have some customer testimonials that we'd be happy to get you guys set up with and hear from those stories. We have some videos on it, but we would definitely love to set up a further call and, go through what does the dashboard look like? We can give kind of a live environment on what that looks like. So I'm going to shift this back over to Tim, and he is going to finish up for us on some best practices.
Thanks, Christine. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes,
it looks good.
All right, thanks. So when we think about best practices, whether you want to upgrade to start reading the latest and greatest card credential, mobile credential, you want to look to issue cards remotely with the HID Fargo Connect solution, some of the best practices and what we've seen work in this area as you guys look to gain not only acceptance but buy-in from people on campus. There's really 6 steps that we've identified, as when we've seen success happen for these types of projects. So first is assess the hardware. Excuse me. This is an extremely important step. Find out what is on campus. Document that technology. Document the quantity, the make, model. Are you using different reader manufacturers? Are you using different access control systems? Making sure you really understand and document what's being used. It will be, while there might be a lot of work up front, and by no means am I saying is that an easy task, but it will be extremely helpful as you look at your ecosystem as a whole and realizing what may have to be upgraded, what definitely has to be upgraded, and what might not have to be upgraded. The second is identify a champion. We've seen this be very beneficial. Is, you know, there's always going to be hurdles, whether there's funding issues, general resistance, but a highly placed advocate can really help push that change and help drive the project. You know, someone who's very passionate, who wants to upgrade a campus or a workplace environment, not only a security side but a convenience side, listening to what the students, what the staff want, and then get stakeholder buy-in. You know, using the first two numbers here, the assess the hardware, identify the champion. Now get all the different departments involved. You know, outside of access control, you know, we want to move to a mobile credential. Well, you know, I need to talk to the business office. I need to talk to the athletics, the rec center, the auxiliary, the dining and housing folks. You know, there are so many different players on these university campuses that can really help you get to your goal, or they really could become an obstacle of that goal. So making sure you bring as many people to the table, and making sure terms and language is discussed, to making sure what somebody understands might be different from what somebody else understands becomes extremely important. You know, once you've done that, you have identified what you want to do to move forward, you know, establish a standard. You know, what's that standard going to be? So we're going to start hanging, you know, a new reader. It's going to support the latest and greatest technology, but it's not going to support any of the legacy technology. You know, and then once you've established that standard, obviously you can upgrade the infrastructure from the reader side, and then finally replace the credentials, you know, whether that's in one fell swoop or over time. In some of the upgrade best practices in general, like a site survey that I mentioned early, and complete inventory of that existing technology. Support as few legacy technologies as possible. You know, your campus is building a brand new building. You know, why support magstripe on that building if you don't have to? You know, why support something that's been compromised if you don't have to? Collaborate with those stakeholders, prioritizing, you know, those new technologies and those budgets. Choose new solutions capable of mobile access. Mobile access is coming. I mean, it's here, and it's going to be more prevalent, you know, over the next couple of years. So make sure as you upgrade those, the reader and the hardware investments, make sure they can accommodate mobile credentials, and make sure these new solutions are capable of remote printing. Again, back to what Christine just talked about on the HID Fargo Connect solution, not having to pack work environment offices or campus card offices with people. You can remotely issue badges. You know, helps with any of your health and safety initiatives as well. And then start small. You know, execute successfully at one site and then repeat. You are really interested in mobile credentials, for example, that new building's going up. Why not put a reader on the wall that supports it and try it out? And, you know, I think you'll see they get a lot of buy-in when it's on the wall and you start using it. But yeah, continue to pilot and test and ask questions and bring, you know, always remember bringing all those stakeholders to the table to help support your initiatives. So with that, brings us to the question slide, and we'll pause here. And, you know, we really appreciate your time and listening to us, and we'll see if there's any questions we can help answer.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Christine. Yeah, so we do have time for some questions. Thanks, everyone, for your participation here. We will address some questions. And I also did want to mention, as Christine mentioned, there's a demo available that Christine could go through with the HID Fargo Connect. I want to give out her email quickly since we didn't get it on the slide. If you were interested in reaching out for a demo, her email is christine.Pwinica, and that's Pwiwnici at hidglobal.com. So if you are interested, you can reach out and see some firsthand some of those resources she had mentioned. So with that, we'll just jump into a few questions. Let's see. So Tim, we'll talk about something that you were talking about right off the bat, and it has to do with sort of that legacy technologies and even hardware that's in existing facilities. So the question is, we have I-Class SE readers from HID right now. Can we support both the I-Class SE readers and those new Signo readers at the same time? Just kind of briefly, how would that work in terms of a transition in a facility that's already existing?
Yeah, no, thank you. Great question. So the answer is yes, you can, a campus, institution, workplace can support both I-Class SE and the Signo line. The only question would, as you look to any migration projects, is if you have any I-Class SE readers on the wall and you do want to support mobile access, there may be a requirement. We just have to upgrade that reader to support have a Bluetooth module added to the back of the reader to support mobile access via Bluetooth. But outside of that, those readers can certainly coexist.
Okay, thank you. So just on the mobile credential aspect as well, can you talk about how many mobile credentials a user with these systems can have?
Yeah, so another good question. So when you think about mobile access, it's a subscription-based platform and it's tied to the user. So what that means is a one user for a mobile credential can have up to 5 devices, and it only counts as one user, and you're not paying an additional charge for any of the additional devices that may have. So for example, a student uses part of the Student ID and Apple Wallet program, they want to have a mobile credential on their phone and on their Apple Watch. That would be one credential license, and they can have up to five users.
Okay, thank you. And actually, as a follow-on to that, I wanted to actually jump in and ask you about the 6 crucial steps at the end there. You had mentioned step 6, replace credentials, and you had said you can do that in one fell swoop or over time. Can you just clarify what you mean by that?
Sure. So a lot of universities usually will look at it as they migrate technology is when they look at reader infrastructure, it's typically tied to a capital expense where it's a big heavy lift to do all those readers at one time. If you were to do all those readers at one time, what that would allow you to do is upgrade your card technology to support the latest and greatest. If you can't do that all at once, what that means is spreading out the reader upgrades over time, but you may have to add additional card technology into the card to be able to support that. So what happens is the consumable costs for your credentials will end up costing more as you try to replace those readers. So until all those readers are replaced that are still supporting legacy technology, you're going to have potentially multiple chips in those cards to accommodate those transition plans.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So we'll switch over to Christine. I have a question for you with the HID Fargo Connect system platform. The question is, can you talk about a little bit more, or I guess revisit what applications can work with HID Fargo Connect? What applications are used with that platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And just one kind of update. So my last name is actually Piwnica. So that was just the only thing for my email address. Just wanted to make sure we didn't bounce back. Oh, no problem at all. Yeah, so there are quite a bit of technology partners that we work with. So Seaboard, so a lot of higher education. So we have Atrium, and we also have Seaboard, CS Gold, and Odyssey. Those are some of the integrations that we have. We also have Secure. Let's see what else we have. We have quite a bit. Linnell's just getting finished up on. Those are the ones that come at the top of mind right now. If there's any that you have that you are looking to, integrate with, or there's a technology partner that, I didn't mention that you had questions about, we definitely are happy to work with that. We do have an SDK where you are able to, integrate it into your own system. So even if you have a system that we don't mention, you are still able to use a solution that you are currently used to working out of. So we can also follow up on that later as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So let's see. Yeah, it looks like we are running out of time. If I just want to thank you both for your presentation. Do appreciate it. So thank you, Tim, and thank you, Christine.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you for having us. Stay safe and healthy.
Okay, so again, thank you to HID Global for sponsoring this presentation, our audience for your presentation. As I mentioned earlier, a demo would be available if you do request that, and a recording of this webinar will be available online as well. That'll be at our website, facilityexecutive.com, and also on the HID website, and that's hidglobal.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.